I deem this year the year of the functional trainer style rack. Reason being, there's like 5 billion of them. You've got the Rep Athena, you've got Bolt Fitness Warlord, Rogue, FM, HR, Twin, Thingamajig. I really wish they came up with a better name for that. The Eleiko Prestera series, the Griffin Talon system, and so many more. And now we have this guy. This is the FringeSport Dane. They named it after my middle name, I think, maybe not. But today I'm gonna review this, compare it to others. I really think what is unique about this is it's offering one of the heaviest fuel stacks, actually really generally high quality piece of equipment for one of the cheapest prices on the market. Let's see if it holds up to the value. Hey guys, it's Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. Today I'm reviewing the Dane from FringeSport. This is FringeSport's first cable rack. There are many cable racks out there and we've reviewed many of them. Recently we did one on Force USA. I'm gonna be doing the Aris 2.0 when it comes. I'm gonna also be doing the Rogue version and comparisons. If you'd like to see those, make sure you subscribe. But this is definitely a style rack for the year. Every year there's like some product that it's like every company is coming out with stuff on that product. And this is definitely that. There are so many that are out there. There's even more forthcoming. This is not the best version of that that's on the market, and it's not intended to be. This is really a middle ground between the really cheap ones, like the major Ludies of the world, and the more expensive versions, like the Reps, Rogues, and some of those. I think this fits a really nice middle ground, has a lot of versatility, some things that I'm gonna critique and talk about, but generally offers some really good value. Let's get into it. First off, let's talk about the rack. So the rack is really a standard style rack. These are the 3 measurements that I think matter to most people. One is the outside to outside width. It's 47 inches. It's gonna fit all the cross member attachments from companies like Sorenex or Rep Fitness, which is really nice for people that are doing a lot of barbell work and say they're power lifters and you don't wanna worry about the collars on your sleeves hitting the uprights. This is gonna work well for that because of the width. The only downside maybe to this width versus a wider one is you do get a wider stretch on those. But as more studies have come out, it seems like the stretch portion of the movement is the most important. Because of that, having a really wide crossover may not be as good. So this actually may be ideal in terms of the width. Then you have the height. It's 93 inches from the floor to the top of the pulley shroud, which means it's gonna fit in most people's gyms. It may have some problems if you have a basement gym with shorter ceilings, but I actually really like the height because Stop commenting that I say height. It does have a really good height, and the reason that matters is because you can do lat pull downs on this. Now, the lat pull down is not absolutely ideal because it's not gonna be fully vertical, but it's actually pretty good makeshift, and I can get a full stretch if I put the lat pull down seat at the very bottom. I, 5'9" and a half, can get a full stretch all the way up, no problem. But one thing that it includes is front feet, and the front feet all the way to the back feet is 60-inch depth. So it's actually a pretty good depth for what you get. Now, if you're gonna use this as a rack, you will not be using this as a power rack because the cables and everything is within the center section of the uprights. So it's more used as a half rack. Personally, I prefer a half rack, and it comes with safety spotters included, half safety spotters. It has full UHMW plastic everywhere you'd expect UHMW plastic. It's using laser cut numbers on the fronts of the uprights. All the logos, including the arch logo, are laser cut, and it's using 1-inch holes offset all throughout. Really, I'd say like the things that you'd expect to be done well, they're doing them well. There's nothing about the quality that's like over the top. The welds are good, the holes are cut well. They're offering multiple colors and they're not charging extra for this guy, which is a clear coat, and it looks slick. It looks really cool in person, but they're also offering a red, black, and blue. I think for the price, the quality matches and the versatility is really good on the squat rack side. Now let's get into the functional trainer, because the functional trainer I think is really what's most interesting about this and really what separates it maybe from competitors that are out there. The functional trainer they're using uses 2 160-pound stacks. Now, when you first hear that, you're probably thinking, oh, that's pretty light, but that's because most functional trainers operate in a divisional ratio. So they're like a 2-to-1 ratio. So you take the stack weight, divide by 2, then you have the feel weight. This is using a 1-to-1 feel weight, which means if it's a max 160 pounds, the max you're gonna get on the front end is 160 pounds, which feel weight wise is actually heavier than many others that are out there. So the Rep Athena, for instance, even with the upgraded stacks that go up to 220 pounds, that's still a max feel weight of 50 pounds less than what this is. So the max feel weight is higher on this than most functional trainers. And one reason that's nice is because it doesn't have a center mount lat pull down and low row. So you're gonna have to use this function, you're gonna have to use the functional trainer for your lat pull downs and your low rows, which I'll speak on how those feel in a moment. Now, the positives with the 1-to-1 ratio on this is the fact that you get every part of the stack feel. So basically you're paying for 160 pounds, you're gonna be able to use 160 pounds. It's kind of funny that we do this with functional trainers, but it would be like me selling you a weight plate and you're buying a 45-pound weight plate, but you can only use 22.5 pounds of it. You know, it's like the having of the stack has benefits, but it also has negatives. And the positive side is the fact that you buy 160 pounds, they're shipping you 160 pounds, they're making 160 pounds, and you're able to use all 160 pounds of that on the stacks. Now, that's gonna be a little bit light for some people for low rows and lat pull downs. What I would say to you is buy some pins. You know, you can buy a gym pin adapter. One that I actually like a lot is from a competitor, and I'll speak more on their product that is similar to this, and that is Vesta Fitness. They make a pin connector that goes on both sides. It's basically made for this, and it can go on both sides, has pins on both sides so you can evenly weight it so it's not shaking basically on the guide rods. So you can get this pretty heavy if you just add some pins. The lowest weight is 10 pounds, which is a good start weight. I prefer a lighter start weight. A lighter start weight with like 5 pounds is ideal, something like that. But I think for what this is, I would prefer having the 10-pound head plate plus all the max weight that you got for all the movements you want to do. Now the downside, and this I think is the biggest question, is the cable travel. So can you use this functionally with a 1-to-1 ratio? Because there have been products, like one is the Force USA G20. The original G20 was 1-to-1 cable ratio on the functional trainer, and it was so short. Honestly, cable crossovers, you couldn't really even do them. You didn't have enough you'd like stop right here. Really annoying. I will say this has a max length of 53 inches. That is a half of the max length of a Rep Athena that's doing a 2-to-1 ratio, which isn't surprising considering there's similar construction and things. So how does that feel? How is it actually in use? I think it's fine. I think it's fine for most movements. I think having the 53-inch travel, it would obviously be much nicer to have double that, but I would prefer having a heavier stack, heavier max weight, for especially if you're using it for lat pull downs in low rows, and having a 1-to-1 ratio and not having to worry about it. So I would say the cable travel, I can do lat pull downs all the way down. I can do low rows as much as I'd want. I can do lateral raises as long as I stay really close to the upright. I can do those as basically pretty much where I'd want to go. I can do cable crossovers, no problem. Most of the movements that you'd want to do on this, you're gonna have enough cable travel to do them. You're obviously not gonna be doing like dynamic movements with this because the 1-to-1 ratio is gonna jump even more than a 2-to-1 or 4-to-1 ratio. Also, you're not gonna have enough cable travel to do that sort of thing, but for general bodybuilding, strength training, ways that you're using cables, I think the travel is enough. I actually really like the decision they made to go with 1-to-1. Generally, that doesn't always work out because you don't have enough to use. This one works. And part of that is because they're using a 160-pound stack. It's got more travel on the guide rods. One way that they could make this have even more travel is they have hole area on the back between the stacks and the back upright. If they were to move them back a little bit, flatten out the pancakes a little bit thinner, still the same weight, but they're thinner, you'd even have a couple more inches. So minor critique, probably not worth doing for them to re-engineer all that, but just worth calling out. Now, the cables are attached to front pulleys. The front pulleys have 180-degree travel, which is okay. Like a lot of pulleys will swing around even further, like 270 degrees. I would have preferred if they basically offset them to the side. That would have been a little bit nicer. Not a big deal though. They're also using rollers on the trolley with bearings. So instead of say reps, where they're using a plastic piece that rubs up and down the upright, they're using rollers. I definitely prefer the rollers. Bolt Fitness with the Warlord are also using rollers. The rollers are nice because they just don't mess up the upright. They roll along it as you'd expect versus the plastic rubbing along it. I have a white Rep PR5000 with the Eris or Athena on it. It does rub and mar and scar it, even though it's not technically supposed to. It just happens. But I will say I prefer the rollers on this versus what's used on the Rep. Also, this is using aluminum pulleys, all 18 pulleys all throughout. So every pulley on this is aluminum and they're offering it standard for the price. So it's not like they have an upgrade feature. It's just like we have one option. That option is the best option. It's the aluminum pulleys, which I really like. Aluminum pulleys are just smoother. They're gonna be durable enough and not cause problems with the cables like it would in a commercial gym, like they will in a home gym. It's the option everybody's going with. I talk about it all the time. Companies finally followed suit and FringeSport did too. Great choice. So generally I'd say this is actually a really impressive offering from FringeSport. There are some critiques I've already given. Another one I'd give is basically on their accessories, they're using hitch pins. The problem is they're backwards facing hitch pins. So basically, weird way of saying you put them through the back. I don't have a word for it, but basically you use the hitch pins through the back to secure the lat pull down seat and the spotter arms. The reason that is not good is because there are cables right behind the upright. So if you have the stack at a heavy weight, moving those cables out of the way is kind of impossible. You have to then take the pop pin out, make it lighter, and then put the hitch pin in. Just a little bit of an annoyance. They should have made them on the side, so if they ever redesign this or their accessories, FringeSport, just put them on the side. That way you can put them in, no problem. This does come with quite a few accessories. Just standard, comes with the Arch logo, comes with half safety spotters, comes with sandwich J-cups, which have like this stainless steel laser cut badge on the side of the J-cups. There are no stickers on this, comes with a landmine attachment too, and they're offering other attachments like a multi-grip pull-up bar, lat pull-down seat, some of the pegboards, like that honeycomb pegboard on the back, and the toaster tray, which are really nice, and also they're just a really good price. So generally, man, 2,500 bucks for this, free shipping to your door with 260-pound weight stacks, 3x3 uprights. Well, it's the faux 3x3, 75 by 75 millimeter, but generally I'd say chef's kiss. It's great. It really is. They killed it with this. Pricing, everything, I think it's just a really good value. There are better options out there. If I was choosing between this and like a Rep, personally, I'd probably go with the Rep because I think it just has a little bit more functionality. I like the 2-to-1 ratio. I really like the center mount lat pull down, but that's a different price range. So if you're within this price range, you're gonna get so much freaking function out of this. Now, one thing I do wanna say is this is not like a FringeSport engineered product. What I mean by that is there's other companies that have similar offerings. One is Vesta Fitness. They actually offer pretty much the same thing. They have clear coat too. In a 160-pound stack, the difference is FringeSport went with a 1-to-1 ratio, whereas Vesta Fitness went with a 2-to-1 ratio, which means you're only getting an 80-pound feel weight. I think this is the best kind of formula for this, and here's the other huge benefit. Honestly, there are fewer companies in the home gym industry I would rather deal with than FringeSport. Like their customer service is fantastic. They have a lifetime warranty on this and they will service it. They have a 5-year warranty on the pulleys. If you have something wrong and it's so wrong, you can literally get their owner, Pete Keller, on the phone. Like he's legitimately in the community, loves the stuff. Like, if I'm gonna buy from somebody and it's like Vesta Fitness, who I know nothing about, versus FringeSport, dude, I'm going with FringeSport. Like, so I think this is a sick offering. FringeSport, great job. I think this really fits within that value paradigm. If you're looking for something like this style rack for the price, highly recommend it. For you that are trying to decide, should I go with like an all-in-one rack or should I go with separate? Most people should probably just go with them all in one because you're gonna pay less. You're also gonna get just about the same functionality. Like they're generally the same width, unless it's like a free motion or something. Generally, I like the functional trainer racks. Honestly, there's just not a lot of downsides to the functional trainer racks. They exist, but the functional trainers racks are really nice. Now, one thing I'll also say on this, FringeSport has a history of doing this. Like basically they'll take critiques and they'll actually come out with stuff that we asked for. I would love to have a center mount lat pull down. Like I get you can use the functional trainer for that, but a center mount lat pull down on this, man, there's just a lot in a very small package for a very good price that you can do. Even if it's plate loaded, would just be a sweet offering. I think would be cool to have. Now, one last thing I wish they would have done on this is offer the multi-grip pull-up bar standard. They offered a straight pull-up bar. The multi-grip pull-up bar, I think, is just so much more versatile. For the people that are using this rack, I think they would prefer it. So I wish they would have offered it as like an option to switch it out instead of you have to get the straight pull-up bar and then you have to buy the multi-grip pull-up bar if you want it separately. I would definitely prefer if they allow you to switch that, or instead just offer the multi-grip bar standard, because there are competitors that do that and it would just be better for the rack. Let me know what you think of the rack. Let me know in the comments. Are there any other racks like this that you'd like to see? Also let me know in the comments, because this is one that you guys had recommended. We picked up and wanted to do it and use it and test it and all that sort of stuff, basically at a similar time as the launch, so that you can know if you want to buy it, what our actual opinion is. This has been Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. I'll see you next time. Peace.